Hello there, and welcome to another interesting episode of the interview. Today, I'm so delighted to have someone that from Southern Kaduna that does a lot of wonderful work, and I will be introducing her shortly. So, as I always do, I encourage you to actively participate, even as we have this wonderful conversation with my guest today. So, I usually encourage you to share this video, to like it, and also comment, and you can ask questions even as the interview progresses. So once again, thank you so much for deciding to join us today on this episode of the interview. I will be introducing my guest in just a few minutes. But as I said, I encourage you to go ahead and share this video. Go ahead and like it. Go ahead and start commenting so that other people will be able to follow us even as we have this wonderful conversation. My guest is trying to sort out her internet connectivity. So as soon as she does that, we will have this conversation. So once again, thank you so much for deciding to be part of this episode of the interview. It's going to be a very wonderful discussion. It's going to be a very wonderful, conversation, time of interaction with my guest today. So once again, Happy New Year. For some of you that always follow this program, I'm so happy that you do that. Just help to spread the word so that we will have a very wonderful conversation with my guest today. And let me say also before my guest comes up that all the episodes of the interview are now on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and try to watch the previous episodes of the interview, and you can just type the interview. That is the name of the YouTube channel. Type the interview, and you'll be able to follow and see the previous episodes of the interview. And as I always do, I encourage you to also subscribe to the channel and spread the word so that you will be able to, if you subscribe to the channel, that way we are spreading the word. So once again, thank you so much. As soon as my guest is back, we'll be able to start this conversation. We'll be talking about a lot of things. She's someone that has been doing great work in Nigeria, and she has been recognized for her work, and we will be having this wonderful conversation with her. So just go ahead, as I said, go ahead and share this video, go ahead and share this live stream, this live conversation, so that other people will be able to follow us as I interact today with Gloria Ballason, who is a lawyer. I will be introducing her properly as she joins us. So once again, thank you so much. I'll be waiting for her. As soon as she comes on live, we will kickstart this discussion. All I do is to ask people questions. I just love to ask people questions about, that is the whole essence of the interview, to ask people questions about the things that they have been doing. And in case you have any suggestions, if there is a particular guest that you want me to feature on this platform, feel free to send me a message and let me know, and I will look into that. I already have a lot of people lined up for wonderful people that are doing great things for Nigeria and beyond. It's not just a Nigerian thing, but in Nigeria and also beyond Nigeria. So once again, thank you so much. I want to see you comment. If you are watching this, just let me know you're watching, and also let me know your location, so that that is usually encouraging. So if you're watching from Lagos or Abuja or Kaduna or wherever, Port Harcourt, wherever you're watching this, or here in the United States, wherever you're watching this, just give me some, just put that in the comments and say, I am watching this from here or there, and I'll appreciate that. Okay, even as I wait for Gloria to be back. She will be back. She will definitely be back. So yeah, she will be here. When I said she will be back, I mean she will be here, and we'll have this wonderful, wonderful conversation. As I said, she's already here. So today I'm delighted to have, just as I said, Gloria Ballason, who is a trained lawyer of great repute. Her academic profile is a testament to her legal pedigree. She has a degree in law, which is the LLB and the BL. She also has a master's degree in law and criminal justice, another master's degree in international affairs and strategic studies, and she pursues a third master's degree in law. Ballason is the CEO of House of Justice Nigeria, a human rights radio call-in program, of which she is the host. She's also the law and human rights columnist in Blueprint National Newspaper. She serves as a regional level, at a regional level as a conflict mediator for the harder farmer conflict that has claimed so many lives in Nigeria, especially the northern parts of Nigeria. Ballason's passion for justice for victims of medical negligence and atrocities has led to the establishment of the Moluma Yakubu Loma Center for Medical Law, where she is executive director. Among other things, Ballason is also a resource lecturer at the Nigeria Defense Academy, NDA, and the Kaduna State University. Ballason is the recipient of the 2016 President Barack Obama Young African Leaders Award. And in March 2018, she received the Crown's Montana New Leader Award, which was presented to her by the Reverend J.C. Jackson and His Excellency Mustafa Sisi Law, the Speaker of ECOWAS Parliament, for her contribution to human rights and justice in Nigeria. So this is the person that I have today. I'm so delighted to have Ballason join me today, even as she tries to, sort out her internet connectivity. I have already introduced her. You can see that she has a great profile. So as soon as she's back, we'll start this conversation. I think she's already back. So happy birthday, Gloria.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I know
thank you for your kind words.
Yeah, I know it was a couple of days ago, but we're still celebrating the birthday and also Happy New Year. So without wasting much time, I want to kickstart the discussion by talking about threats and intimidations. Because of your work as a lawyer who speaks and writes about issues affecting human rights and justice, you have been intimidated and threatened countless times by some members of the Kaduna state government who see you as constituting a threat to them. Could you kindly explain this ordeal? What is this all about? Can you hear me?
I think that it's really about, if you can't stand the heat, you have no business being in the kitchen. As a human rights lawyer, that's not unusual. So the thing is, because we are constantly, having to represent people who the government violates their rights, once in a while it's almost expected that you would have a situation where the state agents would want to exceed their powers. This is Nigeria we're talking about, where the issue of human rights is still something that the government struggles to accept as a universal minimum and something that the government should inherently be invested in. And so when they find that a lawyer wants to represent people whose rights are violated, it becomes challenging. So to that end, I think the work we do at House of Justice as a leading public interest litigation and human rights firm has brought us time and again at loggerheads with the government. But I think that they also understand that we are not an organization that backs down on our mandate. And so, whenever it happens, we just treat it as it comes. And of course, it happens too many times for us to worry that it's something that is happening to us. It's also a learning process for the government to know that they have certain limits that they have to maintain, that they cannot exceed their own mandate as provided by the Constitution. So whenever we go to court and we win against them, when they violate the rights of our clients or of citizens, and we go against them, and when they become so bruised that they feel that the thing to do is to shut down civic spaces or to go after activists and lawyers,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
also
sorry, you are
do
kind of
all the not
breaking.
unlimited. So that kind of time every now and again, I should say.
Yeah,
Do you
so
get
you,
me?
you are kind of breaking. Yeah, you are kind of breaking. There is, there is a lot of, there are a lot of breaks as you speak. It looks like it's a little bit steady right now. Yeah, just go ahead and speak right now. Yeah. Are you with me? Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties right now, but I believe that this network will be sorted out. The internet connectivity will be sorted out so that we'll continue with this discussion. I asked Gloria about the situation with all the threats and intimidations, and she was just explaining.
Oh,
Uh, the fact- go ahead, please.
yes. So you asked me the situation that we have with the government, and it seems like we're always riding roughshod. And I said to you that that's almost something that we deal with on a regular basis, because as a public interest firm that primarily advocates the rights of citizens, the government of many third world countries, Nigeria being one, have difficulty understanding that the rights of people need to be respected.
Mm,
And so, when we do the work of trying to enforce the limits of the government, constitutional limits of the government, it becomes troubling for them to understand that this is how far they can go and no more,
mm,
as required by the Constitution.
mm,
So you find that time and again they want to be able to insist on the law of force, while we want to insist on the force of law.
mm,
So that intersection, that interaction between those two contrasting forces bring bring us at loggerheads.
mm,
But you see, what it does is that it is good for democracy, because ultimately people understand that, look, they have to be able to play based on the rules. So for us at House of Justice, this is something that has happened time and time again.
mhm,
And I think for the government, it's a learning curve for them, and for us at House of Justice, it is work for us.
mm. That is that is profound. Do you, with all the threats and the intimidations, do you sometimes fear for your life?
So, a number of people, I've had this question come up to me every now and again. The issue of mortality and immortality, I would say, belongs to God. Do
Hmm,
I fear? No, I don't fear. I worry about giving account of why I am alive and the work that I do. Uh, Love for me is a calling, and the issue of human rights is also a calling that I do not take lightly. So, in terms of trying to get the work done and ensuring that we do it within the safeguards that the work provides for us, I don't fear for my life. I just ensure that what I'm doing is right, is just.
hmm,
I ensure that, in doing all of these things, that the motives are right.
hmm,
And it's something, because you see, as a lawyer, you're not just doing the work of law, you're also part of the teaching team for any society.
hmm,
And I've worked for many countries as in an advisory capacity and also in legal capacity. So these are things that happen everywhere. So we are taught the precautions to take, but we are also taught not to be afraid.
hmm,
And naturally, also my own wiring is with harder and sterner stuff. So
hmm.
my parents will tell you that I don't know anything. Fear is a strange word in my vocabulary and in my dictionary. I worry more about being right. I don't
Hmm,
agonize over difficult decisions. I don't. I just, for me, it's important that what needs to be done, you do it.
hmm,
In any case, none of us is going to leave this place alive. We're all going to die. So the point is not to put yourself out in a manner as though you're throwing yourself into the lion's den, but that you do what is right, and you keep going.
hmm.
There is a God that protects those who are right, and He's a God of justice.
That's true. That's quite true. Does the Nigerian constitution grant freedom of speech? And if they do, at least not on paper, but practically, to what extent is this a reality in Nigeria?
To the extent that it is not a reality. Yes, because when in terms of whether it provides for freedom of speech, yes, freedom of speech is a universal concept that is found in every constitution. And when you speak about human rights, one of the core rights is the right to freedom of speech, the freedom of expression. And for us in the Nigerian constitution, it stands out very starkly in section 36. And so it's something that the government knows. It's something that the government itself exercises every now and again. But the issue with the Nigerian government, especially under the Buhari dispensation, is they have difficulty understanding that people do not necessarily have to chime in or echo the things that they want to hear. Actually, democracy is about the congregation of ideas,
Hmm,
ideas that you may not necessarily like, but ideas that when they meet in the arena, they juggle for primacy. So the idea is that the most potent idea should superintend over the ideas that do not make sense. And that is the beauty of democracy.
hmm,
But you see, for the Nigerian government, and this is sad because Nigeria is the United States of Africa, they have difficulty understanding that it is not about them, that democracy is about the people.
hmm,
That when you're leading, you may not necessarily hear people tell you what you like, but if it is what is right, you need the humility to be able to accept the supremacy of ideas and go after it.
hmm,
So, in that sense, Nigeria would have been a lot more better if the issue of the right to freedom of expression and free speech is observed more in compliance than in breach. Sadly, that's not the case. You see that many activists have been arrested. Shaware was even harassed on the 26th of December 2020. You see the issue with NSAS. And I'm going to have to dwell a bit on the issue of NSAS, because as much as the government felt that it grated at them, that was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, because young people that constituted more of the millennials, privileged young people in a highbrow area like Lekki, for the first time were able to have an understanding of how bad things were. And they were not just out to demonstrate, but they wanted to show that change is possible, that we can get it right. In Abuja, it was the same thing. And in other states where the NSAS protests went on, young people were taking ownership of their country. Young people were saying, we are tired of the deliberate destruction of this country. We're tired of the deliberate failing. We want to be able to show you that change is possible. So in terms of their expression, this was a protest that had young people accounting for the monies that they had received. It was also a protest that showed empathy, because you had young people bringing out food and sharing with each other, and where people of different faiths went to worship, the other people of the different faith will protect the worshippers who were worshiping. And so every opportunity that we have is an opportunity for the government to see that, look, Nigerians are interested in this country. That even though, there's this clampdown on civic spaces, there's this clampdown on the freedom of speech, Nigerians want to take ownership of what is theirs. So to answer your question directly, the right to freedom of speech is there in the Constitution, but in terms of the understanding of it and making it available to the citizens, it's near zero.
The NBC court, I want to talk a little bit about the NBC court in relation to this. With the recent amendment of the Nigerian Broadcasting Court in 2020, do you see this as a threat to freedom of expression in Nigeria, especially with the imposition of the 5 million naira fine on people who are deemed to violate the court?
It's certainly a violation. I had reason set to invite Dr. Tom Adaba. Dr. Tom Adaba was the pioneer DG of the NBC. So it was under his watch that the NBC code was promulgated. And then it wasn't politicians who put it together. It was professionals in the media profession to try to structure the media space so that it doesn't become an all-comers affair, and so that it doesn't provide a situation where people who do not understand the basic rules of media and journalism will get into the space and jeopardize information gathering and information dissemination. And Dr. Tom Adaba said that at the time when they put together the code, because this was a conversation, an interview that I had between Dr. Tom Adaba and Femi Falana, the senior advocate, we were concerned that we could have the NBC code, a body of law, actually going against the Constitution. But the good news is that in the opening paragraph of the Constitution, it says that any other law that goes in contrast with the Constitution is, to the extent of its inconsistency, null and void. And that's why Nigeria shouldn't bother too much about the NBC code, because when it stands face to face with the Constitution, it must bow. But the point is, when we had the conversation with Dr. Tom Adaba, he regretted that a well-intentioned code will now become the fetter that will bind people in a democracy. Don't forget that the Nigerian democracy came at a very high price. The millennials may not understand it, but for those of us who were there, we heard about the likes of Abakuba, we heard about the likes of Gani Fawemi, we heard about the likes of Professor Chidi Odinkalu, many people, Kudirat, Abiola, people who died, people who bled, Femi Odekunle, God bless his soul right now, and the likes of him, who had to suffer in prisons because they wanted to bring to a generation of Nigerians a country where people will have their say. So to have now a situation in a democracy where a code will now legitimize wrongdoing, and it will give it a sense of legitimacy, is not only fraudulent, but is a gross violation of the trust that the Nigerian people give to these people who are in power. So the NBC code, as has been amended, is the work of the politicians, and politicians have no business in lawmaking. Lawmaking is a legislative process, and it is a sum total of the work of the citizens, because the citizens have to be a part of the lawmaking process. Unfortunately, this whole review of the NBC code that has happened was done by politicians who felt that they needed to safeguard the interests of those in power. It will not stand the test of time. And I hope that Nigerians will continue to speak up their mind, because that is the God-given power that we have.
What role does the legislative arm of government play in seeing that there is freedom of expression in Nigeria?
So for the legislatures, the legislators, their work is to make the law. I think that the power really lies with the judiciary. And this is where I stop to really think very deeply about where the Nigerian judiciary is. We have very fine men and women in Nigeria's judiciary, but it is also true to say that we have bad eggs. I want to be able to carefully but clearly say that under the Buhari administration, that the Nigerian courts, many of them are not allowed to do what they exist to do. And that is sad, because you see, when rights are violated, what the citizens do is to approach the court. And the sad thing is that many of the citizens whose rights to freedom of expression and freedom of speech have been violated have returned back by a whipping cross. Now, it is the court that is the last point that should determine the power of this right. And if the court will now tinker to what the politicians want, then it is rather unfortunate. The work of the court is to ensure that what is right is given to who it is due, and what is wrong is penalized for what it's worth. So the work of the legislators is just to frame these laws, but it is the duty of the judiciary to ensure that those whose rights are violated have those violators penalized, and ensure that those whose rights have been violated have some reparation that makes it nearly possible to recover that which they have lost.
I still talking about this issue of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, which is a big thing, I believe, in Nigeria. It seems like the legislative and the judiciary arms of government often find themselves kowtowing to the executive arm of government in Nigeria. Is there genuine separation of power in Nigeria? I think is the question.
So the thing that I always like to do is not to profile, whether it is the executive or the legislature or the judiciary. We have fine men and women who are doing a great job. But it is also true to say that the fish rots from the head. So you then have a situation where this country has had a rape of justice. And let me flip back a bit. You remember the time where the homes of judges were raided? That was the darkest point in the Nigerian judiciary, because what it did was to send tremor down the spine of these judicial officers, to make them see that, look, there can be an executive under the Buhari government who will go after them and move against the rule of law. You also saw the manner in which Chief Justice Onogan was pushed out as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. What that did was to say, if the highest person in the judiciary can be treated and violated in that manner, can be handled as a mere criminal, can be subjected to the ruse of the force of impunity, then it means that other people cannot be spared. So in terms of the strategy of impunity, that was strategic for the Buhari government to destroy the courage of the judiciary. Unfortunately, I thought that that was going to be a moment where the other people in the judicial sector will rise as one man to say, no, this is not about the Buhari government. This is about a country and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that we cannot allow one person to determine the power of our laws. So when you talk about the separation of powers, that one incident made a clear a point about the fact that there is no separation of powers in Nigeria. It showed that the judiciary is subservient to the executive. And I'm not sure that the Nigerian judiciary has reason to demonstrate that, look, the Nigerian judiciary is not subservient to the executive. So this issue of separation of power is something that we must continue to work on. And it is left for people of good conscience in the legislature, in the executive, in the judiciary to say, look, we have a country, and it is our duty to ensure that this country runs on a constitution that cannot be treated as a list of suggestions, but must be treated as the ground norm, the law that must govern all of us, no matter how highly placed anybody or anyone may think he or she is.
As a lawyer who has been working, in aspects, talking aspects of human rights and justice and all kinds of things, do you think that, politicians, Nigerian politicians, some of them think that they are above the law? You still with me? Yeah, so I'm still, having this conversation with Gloria Ballason, who is a lawyer, a human rights activist. We're trying to sort out some internet connectivity here, but we have been having a very great conversation. I just asked her a question about Nigerian politicians and their attitude toward the law. As soon as she sorts that out, we will continue with this conversation. Don't go anywhere. As I always do, as I have been saying, I encourage you to go ahead and share this video and like it and make comments. I can see some of you are already commenting. Emmanuel Junior Zaka, as always, birthday Josh, father son, and quite a few of you have been commenting. So just keep the comments coming, even as we continue to have this conversation with Gloria Ballason, who is a lawyer, who is very outspoken, and she has been doing a lot of things. There are quite a bit that we need to talk about, with her. So as soon as the internet connectivity is sorted out, we'll continue with this, with this conversation. Let me see here. All right, Gloria is back. Sorry, we had internet problem right there. So my question was, I asked you the question that based on your work as a lawyer, as a human rights activist in Nigeria, do you think that some Nigerian politicians actually think that they are above the law?
Oh, certainly. It's the case. It's the reason why you would see someone like the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, would say the kind of things that he says, or the presidential spokespersons would say the kind of things that they say, whether that's Garba Shehu or Femi Adesina or Loretta Onuchie. It's the reason why you would see even people who you respect because of their office would pull the kind of stunts that Fashola would pull at the Lekki Gate with the CAM code discovery. What it does is what's the word I want to use now? It makes it look like the Nigerian citizens are infants. and that once people get into power, that they are above every other person, and that we do not have the ability to use our simple thinking faculty to decipher things. But you see, the thing that Nigerians need to always do is to understand the power in the office of the citizen. There's enormous power in that office. Don't forget, and I still use the NSAS protest as an example for obvious reason, because there was a shift just from that protest. If Nigerians didn't continue to insist, you probably would have ended up with that false information that was given to Nigerians, that nobody was killed and that blank bullets were used, and that because there was such a mutation of the narrative of the Nigerian government. First, they said the army was not there, and when it was showed that they were there, they said, well, they were there, but they didn't shoot. When they showed that they had shot, they said, well, we shot, but they were blanks. When people began to count their deaths, they had to acknowledge, they said, yeah, but there were few people. Now, the death of one person, one Nigerian, is one death too many. And so for us to have a situation like what we have in Nigeria, of people in power constantly thinking that those who are outside the corridors of power are under their own mercy, is something that must be changed. Because you see, for those who are in power, they forget that power is a revolving door. That while you may be facing the sun today, it's going to revolve to the point of darkness tomorrow when you are out of power. And even the actions and your inactions when you had the opportunity to take them would affect you tomorrow when you are no longer in power. And that is why it calls for people, whether in power or outside of power, to be altruistic. It also calls for a sense of patriotism for this country. Look, Seth, as bad as things are, I believe in this country. I believe in what can happen. I am in a state that is called Kaduna State. It is my state of origin. It is also the state where I have my law firm situate. But guess what? Aside from that, it is the best place I love to live in the world. And the truth is, I've done quite a lot of travel. But home is where your heart is. And every time I see the kind of atrocities and impunity that happens in Kaduna or in Nigeria, it makes me even more determined to say, no, we're not going to allow a situation where a few people will determine the dimensions and the texture and the future of this country. Because we call our own.
All right, I'm still with Ballason. All right, yeah, I think she's back. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So in that sense, So in that sense, it calls for more, for more investment, for more heart and head investment in what can become of Nigeria as a country and what we can all do. And this is why we must continue to give hope a fighting chance. And the way to give hope a fighting chance is to put in everything that we can to ensure that things are better. So, for instance, for many people, they have followed the situation in Kaduna where the governor went and demolished a venue purportedly because it was named by some people as a venue for some immoral act or something. But, there was no verification. The news that is coming out is that it's not even a hotel, but that it's a restaurant. And that there was nothing that was determine. In any case, assuming that was what the venue was used for, what does the law provide as penalty, and who should exercise the law? The governor is not the be all and end all. The governor is just like a citizen, is just a citizen like myself, like those who own the venue. And so the governor is subject to law. But we see time and time again a governor like Governor Nasir El Rufai, who should know better, continuously violating the rights of people. And when these things happen, I know that there is a tendency for people to think that because they are in power and because they're covered by the immunity clause of Section 308 of the Nigerian Constitution, that there is nothing that can be done. But the truth is, we cannot afford to sit on our hands. Every citizen has the power to challenge impunity. Every citizen has the mandate to challenge impunity. Every citizen has the power to define the space that the Constitution has given unto them. And when we do not exercise that power, then we allow it to be latent in the hands of politicians who will then convert that power as a force to do wrong, as a force to do evil, as a force to intimidate and sometimes even annihilate a set of people.
We have a lot of work to do in Nigeria. I want to talk a little bit about House of Justice. You are the CEO and the radio program host of House of Justice. What are the aims and objectives of your organization?
House of Justice is a public interest firm. And so it has 5 departments. One is a law firm, Mabeiam Legal. And so we go to court, we represent people, and we have quite a number of clients. Many people know us as a firm that pursues human rights of people, but it is also true that we are fully invested in media law. Then we have a crime prevention and counseling center, and what that center does is to try to prevent crime and also to try to reduce the high rate of divorce in the society. So when cases like divorce cases come, we try to ensure that marriages that have no business getting into divorce are fixed at that point. So we have psychologists, psychiatrists, and counselors working under the Crime Prevention and Counseling Center. It also covers issues of drugs, and for young people who cannot find their way, which is always the best point to intercept them. So everything about crime prevention and counseling happens under that center. Then we have the Moluma Medical Legal Center. It is a center that works and provide reparation options and accountability options for victims of medical negligence and mass atrocities. Then we also have the House of Justice advocacy, which is what a number of people get connected to us with. So at the moment, we have 6,500 partners across 25 countries under the House of Justice advocacy arm. And so we're able to do quite a number of projects, because for us at House of Justice, our job is to take justice to law. And we do that by putting the power in the hands of citizens, so that citizens will be empowered to insist on the force of law and not the law of force. And we do that by constantly engaging with the public, teaching them, showing them what can be done and what is possible, and engaging the public to also be a part of the process of the change that they want to see. Then we have the HOJ radio and TV, which is perhaps our newest baby. But before it became, we had our station in House of Justice. I was a radio presenter and on-air personality for over 6 years on the station. And at that time, we're able to gather such following, not just in Nigeria, but across African countries on issues of law and justice. And so we then were able to set up our own online studio, and we hope to expand to TV and also terrestrial radio as well. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. We constantly engage with the public because we want to demystify law. We want to also demystify justice to the public. And it gives me very great pleasure to say that we see the impact in the lives of people. We see the impact in the lives of those who partner with us across countries.
How has this journey been for you?
For me, the part of it that I find very fulfilling is to see people acquire that power, because it was always a concept in my head, and to see it translate into life is huge. I am also grateful to see the healing that it brings into the life of people. So, for instance, when we set up the Medical Legal Center in 2014, it had no name. But we ended up giving a name to it that was in honor of my friend who had written about medical negligence and died from medical negligence. And what was really particularly painful was that, and is that, her father is a professor of medicine, her mother is a nurse and a lawyer, her sister is a medical doctor, she has two brother-in-laws who are medical doctors, but because she was in a city that she didn't have all of this support, sadly, she died from medical negligence. And what that tells you is that none of us is insulated from the pain that could happen. And that is why we all have to invest in the systems so that wherever we are, whether we have people who are directly linked to us or not, the system can and will work for us. So House of Justice and seeing the organization grow, seeing people take ownership of it, seeing people believe in it, seeing people volunteer, because we have volunteers from different walks of life, even those who would not want their names mentioned, but who constantly come to engage, makes me feel that it's worth it. In terms of the daily runnings and the administration, it's as challenging as it comes, but it is an expanding organization. It is an expanding space that is giving people power, that is helping people find healing. And for me, that's more than fulfilling.
You just mentioned challenges. Of course, we'll expect that in every organization there will be challenges. Anything that is worthwhile will have its own challenges. What are some of the challenges? Will you mind to share some of them?
If it wasn't challenging, I'll probably not even be in it, because I love the thrill of conquer. Sometime in when you have a situation where the government comes against you and you are working with people, you sometimes worry about their own safety, even when you feel secured in your own space. So to that end, that is just one part of it. The other issues, of course, is what the running business in Nigeria comes with: the issue of power supply, the issue of sometimes the government trying to throw a million taxes at you because they feel that it's a way to get back at you. The issue of standards and people not understanding that standard is important in service, because whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. But true, and it's been an interesting ride.
I want us to, even as we try to wrap it up, to talk about SCAF, which stands for Southern Kaduna Resilience Fund. You are one person from Southern Kaduna that has been doing a lot for Southern Kaduna, for the Southern Kaduna people, and you have been actively involved in the struggles of the Southern Kaduna people. And one of your initiatives was the formulation of the Southern Kaduna Resilience Fund, which aims at ameliorating the plights of the Southern Kaduna people who have been directly affected or displaced by violence and attacks. And I just want to know, how have people been responding to this great initiative of SCAF?
It feels as if people were waiting for that to happen and then they will jump into ship. And so, but again, that didn't come as a surprise for me or for our organization. Since 2015, what House of Justice does every end of year is to host a summit and a banquet. And what we do in that summit is to determine what is the biggest challenge in the country. And then we invite people in Nigeria and abroad to come and brainstorm. So we've had General Gowon, we've had Professor Jerry Gana, we've had Senator Ben Murray Bruce, we've had governors, we've had, think about anybody from the United Nations, we've had Senator Shehu Sani, we've had people from the judiciary, anybody you can think of. And what we wanted to do as an organization is to demystify for the common Nigerian, the people that they see on television, to make them be able to sit in the same room and have an interaction with them. And after the summit, they can sit and let down their hair in a banquet and sit and eat the same thing that those big people eat. Watch them eat, feel that they are as human as they are. Because in just breaking that dichotomy between the high and the low, we're able to understand our common humanity and move towards it. But you see, in 2020, we realized that we had talked so much about the challenges of Nigeria. 2020 was a blistering year because we lost many Nigerians. We lost our security agents. We lost citizens. Kidnapping was at an all-time high. While at the last government, the Jonathan administration, insecurity was confined more to the northeast. Under the Buhari government, insecurity is a national tragedy. But there is one community that constantly comes up in both national and international news, and that is Southern Kaduna. What even made it worse is that at some point, there was a media blackout of the atrocities going on in Southern Kaduna. And so it had to take even the victims themselves going through social media to cry out on their own pain. When we looked at the devastation of lives and how life had become so cheap in Nigeria, we thought there was a need not just to talk about the issues, but to roll our sleeves and get into the fray. So our first point of call became Southern Kaduna to say, look, we're not going to watch the bleeding of humanity in this place called Southern Kaduna. We're going to ensure that we restore hope and we rebuild dignity. Anyone who has been a victim of crisis or of war will tell you that the biggest damage that happens is in the mind and in the psyche of the community. So while there are a lot of people who think about the effect of war by the numbers of people killed, the far-reaching effect of war are those who are neither alive nor dead. And I have seen things. House of Justice has become not just like a law firm for people, it has also been a place where people come and bear their wounds. I have seen children poured in mass graves in Southern Kaduna. I have seen 11, 12-year-olds who fought alongside their parents to keep them alive and how they were macheted in different areas. I have seen toddlers, sucklings. I have seen how battered their bodies are. I have seen the devastation of life. And you know, every time I cannot understand for the life of me how animals will have the protective tendency over their young, but human beings can watch with glee while toddlers, while sucklings, while children are killed. And that is the story of Southern Kaduna. So we decided as an organization that we were going to invest in 3 thematic areas. One is the area of helping people rebuild. The second is on education, and the third is psychosocial support. So in terms of the rebuilding process, we are in the process of trying to help people who cannot rebuild their homes and send them back to claim their lands. And let me make a clear point that terrorism must not be allowed to have the last word in Nigeria. I know very clearly what Nigeria before 2009 was. I still remember the shock of hearing that children, young girls, were kidnapped in Chibok. But we know the days of laughter. And so we must work hard to return to those days. And for Southern Kaduna, which is one of those theaters of constant conflict, this is what SCAF has come to do, to ensure that people can return back and find normalcy again. In terms of education, we're meeting the children and the victims where they are Some of them are in IDP camps. Some of them, they have been displaced in their communities because over 100 communities have been totally sacked from their places in southern Kaduna. So wherever it is, with relatives or with people who have shown them the generosity of the human spirit, we're meeting them there to educate them. The third is psychosocial support, both for the community and for the people, to help them realize that there is hope for a tree even when it is cut, because at the scent of water, it can rise again. And we want them to see that what they feel may be an end could still be a beginning. And people need to understand that whatever they go through has the ability to do two things: to break them or make them stronger. And for us at House of Justice, our own job in the next 1 year, which is our initial commitment, and we may extend that commitment depending on what the outcome is to help the Southern Kaduna strategies. It's a community that believes in faith. It's a community that believes in culture. So our coping strategy is on those two areas. We're helping them to look into their culture and to find coping strategies to help them not to break the family cycle and to hold hand in hand to each other, to also build their communal lifestyle once again. We're also helping them to see the power in the faith of the God that they believe in, and to make them realize that just because they are down doesn't mean that they will always be there. And one of our theme songs, which will soon be released, says something very profound, that even though they crawl, they are going to stand up, and then they will stand tall again. So just because you're crawling and bleeding right now doesn't mean that you won't be able to stand, and that not just that you will stand, but that you will stand tall. And this, for us as an organization, House of Justice, is our message of hope to Southern Kaduna. In December, we had people from other countries who have suffered this kind of atrocities join in sending a message of hope to Nigeria. And we had people from Colombia, we had people from Iraq, we had people from Cameroon, we had people from the United States, we had people from the UK. This is just to show the Southern Kaduna people that they are not alone. And I hope that this modest effort that House of Justice is doing will help this community realize that they are not alone, that God is with them, and that an organization like House of Justice stands with them through this process, and that there will be a day that will come. So, of course, we have adopted a hashtag that is something that resonates with them, which is Satsontat. I'm told that what it means is that a new day has come. So we want to show these people that a new day has come. But in a broader context also, as an organization, we're also trying to help communities and citizens see the power that is in them. The Nigerian government, sadly, is not interested in resettling communities that are distressed. In the Northeast, people have not been resettled, which is what the United Nations provide for, that after 3 months, people should be resettled. So you have a case of double victimization of communities that have been distressed. And this is what we do not want to see in the community that is just close to us in Southern Kaduna. So we want citizens to be able to pull in their powers, spirited people to also pull in their powers. We always think about it in terms of profits and losses. We don't think about it in terms of human lives. Because if the humans who patronize your business are not even alive, then your own business is at risk. But more importantly, for us at House of Justice, we realize that as much as we're doing a lot in the court, if we do not help in reconnecting the bonds of humanity outside of the courtroom, we'll not be able to do much in the court. So that is the story of SCAF in a nutshell.
Now, that is so wonderful, a very wonderful initiative for the Southern Kaduna people. And we want to really thank you so much for your courage and for, paving the way for such a great initiative. My last question to you is, how can people partner with all the things that you do in House of Justice, especially with SCAF?
So in House of Justice, all through the year, we take interns, and we have different institutions that send us interns. So I have had calls from different people saying, oh, I want you to mentor me I'm sorry that, and I want to use your medium set to really apologize that I may not have the time to do that on an individual basis. But for anybody who cares about humanity and who cares about justice, internship is open all through the year. Also, we have volunteers. We call them crew members. There are different volunteer groups. There are counseling groups. There are the medical legal group. There is the media group. There are different. There are so many. It's just for you to go to www.houseofjusticeng.com, and you will see the different opportunities that are provided for you. So people can partner to that end. For SCAF, which is what Heart and Soul Head, we're all, as an organization, we will be connected with this year as our corporate social responsibility. People can donate. There is a Fidelity Bank account if you're in Nigeria, and it's out there in the social media space. And then there is also the GoFundMe account that has been set up for those who are abroad. People sometimes wonder if what they give will matter. Your 1 naira matters, your £1 million matters. And I can assure you that at House of Justice, time and time again, we have shown that we're credible people. And you would see that even on our website, you have www.scarf follow the money, which will constantly show you how your money is being spent. So you can be a part of this. And people can also volunteer to be counselors, to be teachers, to be sports coaches in these organizations. We are especially calling mentors in the society to just come in and show up in these distressed communities. And also for missionary schools and other schools, corporate organizations, people who want to sponsor children in these distressed communities, please, you're welcome to do all of that. But for just in case you forget all that I have said on Seth Kajang's platform, when you go to www.houseofjusticeng.com, you would find that there is so much work to do because the harvest is plenty and the laborers are few. So there's work to do, and if you want to give yourself to humanity, to justice, House of Justice is a place to consider.
Yeah, let me just say that if you are watching this, I encourage you to just go to this Facebook page and just follow, House of Justice. They have a Facebook page. There is this, Gloria hosts this, program that she talks about a wide variety of things, and you can also see, in case you want to donate to SCAF, all the details are there. You can find that. So in case you have not been following House of Justice, go ahead and do that so that you will keep in touch with all the wonderful and great things that this wonderful organization is doing. I want to take this time to just thank you so much for making time to be part of this interview. I know you are very busy, but for you to, squeeze in time to be part of this, it means a lot. We'll continue to keep the conversation going. And I just want to say that a lot of people are touched by all the things that you do and what you stand for. Just keep making us proud and keep changing the world in your own way. Until I come your way next time, for all of you that participated in today's program, thank you so much. I will still encourage you to go ahead and, share this video. And remember, you can also find this same interview on our YouTube channel called The Interview. If you go there, try to subscribe, and also try to subscribe to House of Justice, and try to keep in touch with Gloria and all the things that she does. Until I come your way next time, tomorrow I am having another wonderful guest on this platform. So just look out for the flyer on this platform. I will be posting that shortly. Until I come your way next time, enjoy the rest of weekend, and bye-bye for now.
Thank you, Seth, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.